And if, okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. Before I kickstart, just if anyone can confirm if they can see a slide with our company's logo, just give me a thumbs up. Okay. Thanks for us. Uh, Fine. Okay. Uh, some of you have been either my students or have been in my earlier sessions as well. But this time we also received quite a few new student registrations for this session. So I will first take this opportunity to actually introduce myself and my firm. So my name is Surbhi Kumar, and I am the founder of the Dream Catchers, which is an independent education consulting firm. So after 15 years of corporate journey and doing education consulting more as a passion work, I formally launched my firm with a clear mission wherein I wanted to assist students in realizing their dream of obtaining quality and best fit education. So mission is very simple and straightforward. And through our different services, we try to assist students from say grade 8th or grade 9th onwards itself. As you would agree that for grade 9th and grade 10th student, primarily it boils down to what stream to take, what subject combination to take, and with the plethora of options, primarily in the international boards like IB or Cambridge, and also in national boards to a larger extent like ICSE and also CBSE with the NEP or National Education Policy being rolled out gradually. Uh, there is a lot for students to really think and decide in terms of stream and subject combination. And for grade 11th and grade 12 students, it's the need is that they shortlist a course which they would want to study at their undergraduate level, or at least few course options, and again the best fit colleges around those courses as such, and as per their needs and requirements. So our services, firstly on the side of more around career guidance and career discovery, it starts with psychometric assessment, but it's not something which we necessarily administer. It is something which is done on case to case basis, and many of you would be familiar with this, or if not, it's just a very easy and a structured and scientific way to get insights into a student's aptitude and to an extent their work interest area, and also the foundational personality traits. So utilizing that, and through our personalized counseling and conversational sessions, we take the student through the career discovery and career exploration process and guide them in a way so that they can shortlist a few career options which aligns with their I would say medium term career goal as such. Wherever there is a need, we also put in a detailed action plan as well. And of course, through this entire process, they get exposed to different career pathways and different educational pathways to reach those careers as such. For the higher education admission guidance, both for overseas and Indian universities, and primarily those Indian universities which are quote unquote called as new age universities, which has a holistic admission process, which is beyond just the grade 12 score or entrance exam scores as such. So we try to provide different services which eventually help the student. So to name a few, we actually start with something which we call as like their profile assessment, helping them discover their current profile and even elevate it in a most authentic way, kind of marrying it to their strength. And also, if there are any areas where some additional work is required, that's also something which is suggested. Of course, if you are thinking of applying abroad, you may also have to shortlist a few countries, and you should know the pros and cons of each of the country, because no destination is perfect, to be honest. And even helping in course shortlisting, because there are also different flavors of the core subjects which you would want to study in terms of the coursework being offered by different universities, and helping you do your research on different colleges, and then coming up with a list of the best fit college for you or colleges for you. Of course, statement of purpose, personal, or which is also called as, personal statement. And in some geographies where students have to answer few essay prompts, they might need some hand holding, right? So something which can help them write their story in the most authentic and compelling way. It's not necessarily, that someone should be writing it for you. That should not be the case. It's more around guidance, which will help you in putting your best foot forward there. uh, Cost of attendance, or rather like tuition fees, living cost, everything is becoming too expensive. With that, I think it's important for families to know how they can bring down the students' cost of attendance to a college through scholarships and financial aid as well. And that's where we provide guidance to. Many of the colleges and universities, including certain Indian universities, they have interviews as a part of a process, or even mini presentations. That's also where we help the child in a way that we do mock interviews so that they can put their best foot forward, and again answer questions, or put their narrative in the most confident manner as such. If you're thinking of studying abroad, then visa is one of the most important elements. So that's where we provide guidance in terms of even writing visa SOP, and we have collaborated with visa experts who can help you out in that journey. Okay, with that, I would just like to start with the session, or rather the core of our conversation today. So just to give you a glimpse of what we will try to cover in next, like say 45 to 50 minutes, I'll give you a process overview for UK undergraduate admissions, and just keep in mind that it will be an overview. We will not dive deeper into the details, but again, this will act as a starting point for you, for those of you who are thinking of starting your undergraduate colleges journey in UK itself. And then the meat of our session would be the fireside chat with Faraz, who is from Imperial College London. And through those conversation or those questions, you will get a lot more clarity as such. But of course, you can keep asking your questions in between. You can put it in the chat or Q&A box. I will try to pick it up from there, or even if time permits, towards the end as well, you can ask questions too. And if any of you, if you would want to go live, just like raise your hand and I will enable your settings so that you can go ahead and ask your questions live to Faraz. With that, let's move on to this small warm-up quiz. And of course, like if you all have gathered here to understand around UK as a country, I just want to get a sense of how much you know about that country and that study destination. So just put your responses in the chat box and I would be receiving it. I'll not read out the questions, and I'll keep the screen on for say 10 seconds or so, and you can put it in the chat box. And for us, of course, you can take a stab at it too.
My only prerogative is not to be wrong before my fire chat. I can be wrong after that, but no, that's completely fine. I'll let the students take this one. I have an idea because I've been following news on the inventions, but particularly the last one, Dolly. But yeah, let's.
Okay. Okay, I have received responses from a few of the students, and I believe there is one parent as well in the audience. Okay. Okay, so I believe it was an easy guess for the majority, given we are talking about UK. So yes, it is UK itself. I know sometimes people confuse the World Wide Web discovery with Australia, but I want to remind you it's UK itself. And yes, UK issues post-study work permit to international students. Uh, Towards our the fireside chat questions itself, towards the end, you may also get some more insight in terms of number of years too. I know there are certain changes coming up there too, but yes, so you can get an opportunity to work as well. Okay, with that, let's just first look at what are the top universities in UK. So UK has almost like 380 universities and colleges, and the prominent ones are which falls under something which is called as Russell Group, and it has its own story why it is called Russell Group University. So I'll not go deeper into that, but these 24 universities are the most prominent one thing which students should keep in mind vis-a-vis other countries, as well as even few colleges in India as well, and rather quite a few, that the course duration of UK undergraduate program is 3 years, and regions like Scotland, they do offer 4 years undergraduate degree. Of course, there also you can have a 4 year degree too, but generally speaking, it's 3 years as such. The platform which is used for application process, it's again a centralized system which is called the University and College Admission Services, or UCAS. The portal itself is very, very informative, so I would also suggest the students and even the parents out here to check that out as well. Oxford and Cambridge, I have mentioned it separately because they have their own slightly different process too. So that's why I just marked it separately. Otherwise, most of the universities which you see here, if you start researching on your own, you will realize, of course, Imperial College London is the best or one of the best there, but there is no dearth of good universities in UK as such. Now, when we talk about intakes, they also have multiple intakes, but I would want to draw your attention to their largest intake, which is primarily the September-October intake. And it is in this intake that most of the courses are offered. And for international students, specifically from India, it aligns really well with their high school completion. Okay. In terms of deadline, of course, we will touch upon what are the deadlines, but you should keep in mind broadly that by mid-Jan, it is something when you should apply. There could be an opportunity to apply later too, but you should not go beyond that. Okay. Now, in terms of what are the broad steps, the process is very straightforward. If you start on time, or rather if you start early, spend a lot of time in researching and choosing your course. That's the most important thing. And then, of course, the course which you would want to study, for that, start researching the colleges. Prepare your application in terms of academic transcripts. You might have to write, few tests, or even like writing samples as well, depending upon the course you shortlist. Start working on your personal statement. Also, you may have to, give an English proficiency test. That is also something which is not mandatory from an application standpoint. It may be something which might be needed if you're coming from a certain board or so, and for others, it might not be. But when it comes to visa, I actually advise my students to give an English proficiency test as such. Then go ahead and apply on UCAS. Once you have put in your applications, it is evaluated. Depending upon your course and college, you may be invited for an interview process. And after that, you may get a conditional offer. Once you have a conditional offer, congratulations. That's your time to slightly sit back and maybe relax and maybe continue to focus on your board exams as such. Once you have your results, right, that's when you will get something which is called as confirmation of acceptance, or CAS, which is a document which is needed for visa process as such. So if you have your proof of finances in place, you have CAS, and you have done your healthcare surcharge payment as such, you can go ahead and start with your visa application process. The other important point to keep in mind is accommodation. Many a times colleges would be offering residential places within their campus itself, and Generally, to the first year students, it is something which is given, but you should really see if that's not the case for your specific college, then at least you're hunting for the right accommodation. Uh, Keeping a good amount of leeway there as well. Do not keep it for last moment as such. And then once it's like visa is in hand, everything is in place, you just start preparing for your departure. There are a lot of pre-departure orientations which are actually hosted by the universities themselves. And then just make a checklist and ready to fly. Okay, so that's like a simple lay of the land in terms of the process as such. Moving on, I would not go deeper into each of the components, but this is something which is very important for the family to keep in mind. So, of course, a straightforward application form to be filled via UCAS, the school transcripts, and this is something which I call as the most important element. Kids should not be, or I should not call them kids, rather, students should not be really trying to work on everything else and not, keeping sight of their grades as such, right? Your transcripts, your official grades are the most important component as such. So do not compromise on it and working on everything else. Again, you may need predictive grades, and if you do not know what predictive grades are, it's a very simple way for schools to give the students, or rather, to give the universities a glimpse of what they are expecting their student in terms of performance in their grade 12. And on that basis, many of the universities will give you conditional offers as such. Of course, when we talk about UK, many universities, they would also ask you to appear for admissions test, and there are different admission tests depending upon the courses. And a small glimpse I have given on the screen itself. Then is the personal statement. Again, this is also a very important document because it is a way for you to showcase your personalities and goals. But here for UK, it's also something which is required to show the university why you are interested in that particular course, what you have done for that course, or rather to study or prepare yourself for that specific course which you would want to study during an undergraduate journey. Is my screen not visible? Suhasini mentioned that my screen is not visible.
It is. To me, it is.
Okay. Suhasini, can you just check your network once? Okay, I'll move on. Now, certain programs may also need a portfolio. It is not something which is needed for all programs. Supplemental materials, it can vary from institute to institute. So just to give you one example, University of Cambridge might ask you to fill my Cambridge app as well. Okay. And as I mentioned, that certain universities may have interview as a part of a selection process as well. The other element, which is something which is really different from, say, countries like US, where extracurriculars, you might have heard, is given greater importance. But when we talk about UK as a destination, they want to see why a student got interested in that particular coursework. And as I said, what they have done to keep their interest or to prepare themselves better for that coursework. So that's where your co-curricular and super curricular activities come in place. And again, my guidance here is do it authentically, do it organically, right? Do not, just do it for the sake of doing. So admission tutors and admission, application evaluators, they are pretty intelligent and smart people. They know and they understand whether it is done authentically or not. Okay. So, and I think, and I would say, in the larger scheme of things, whatever you are doing, it's not just for the college application, but it is something which will prepare you for life, as well as life as a large or a broad term, but college life as such. Okay, moving on. This is again just a snapshot of the deadlines. I know 15th October is around the corner. So if someone is thinking of either Cambridge or Oxford and certain specific courses like medicine, veterinary sciences, or dentistry, that's when you would have to apply. And I do know that there are certain students in the audience who are currently in their grade 10th or grade 11th. So this is something which is more of an information for you, not something for your next 2026 intake, because you might apply few years later. Okay. Now, with that, let's come to the meat of our discussion today, which is Fireside Chat with Faraz. I would let Faraz talk about Imperial College London, but of course, it is a university which is aspirational for many of the students for the right reasons. As such, it is a university which offers array of undergraduate courses in STEM and business. And if you dive deeper into understanding what it offers for, again, the holistic development of the student, you will see so many societies, cultural clubs and sports teams, and university really encouraged that. So to me, that is also something which stands out for Imperial. But let me just invite Faraz. Yeah. Okay, Faraz,
Okay.
over to you. Welcome once again. Thank you so much for joining in. So let's just start with the introduction of Imperial College London from you, and then we will dive into our fireside chat questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Surbi. Hello, everyone. So, thank you for showing up on a Saturday morning. It's interesting to see people being here on a Saturday morning, because I know it's a weekend and you all are tired after the whole week of studies and work and everything. But I mean, Surbi has curated a good run through, so you'll have good information by the end of this session. So, coming from me, I represent Imperial College London. I work in the capacity of student recruitment team per se. So we are dedicated to India operations itself. And if I have to talk about the institute, first of all, it's beautiful archaeologically, geographically. It's one of the most culturally as well as geographically rich institute as well, because it's surrounded by natural history museum, science museum, all those pioneers of and history of all these dynamics as well. So if you see, because these are some factors which we'll be discussing on how to narrow down on university choices as well. So location also does matter. But coming down to Imperial has been ranked quite high, second in the world, just behind MIT, and first in the UK and Europe. Why is it so? It's simply so because our research capabilities, our academic revision, our curriculum relevancy, our industry relevancy has been top notch and quite sought after. So that's why it has maintained such good rankings. And if I have to talk about the courses, you'll see very odd and very interesting courses as well, because we try to keep them very relevant to the industry demands and the current demands of the world around us, because we don't want to be oblivious and teaching something which is very irrelevant. We want our students to study something relevant. And even if they're doing a 3-year course, even if they're doing a 4-year course, if they're doing a 1-year master, they are ready to face on or take on or get absorbed in the industry itself. Because honestly, if you're putting in so much money, you expect a good ROI. So talking about courses ranging from engineering, from computer science, from life sciences to mathematics to physics, business school as well. Business school has one very interesting course which is called economics, finance, and data science. It's arguably one of the most different courses that any of the UK colleges offer, because it dwells in very specific field of business with technology. So it's a very good blend of both. So just to give you a taster about that, aerospace does pretty well. Aerospace engineering also does very good. We have brilliant in-house research facilities ranging from the wind tunnel to the flight simulator. It's all in-house, and I've seen it firsthand. I mean, I'm a Formula One fan, so this interests me when I talk about aerodynamics and stuff. So yeah, that's just a small rundown of the courses and I mean about the institute. So yeah, I mean next, I mean more half of it is gonna be covered in the session as well. So yeah, not to burn more time on that one.
Thank you so much, Faraz. And Siddharth, I have taken note of your question. So actually, it is part of my fireside chat question itself. So I will try to make your question during, I think, my question number 7. Okay. So without further ado, let me dive straight into the question. Faraz, what suggestions and tips do you have for students who are trying to narrow down their list of potential universities for the UK undergraduate programs?
Perfect. See, you have to think of this very logically. Approach this situation in a very systematic way. First, see if the location is good for you or not. In terms of location, I'll give you a good comparative. Uh, a lot of institutes are based out of London, UCL, King's, University of Westminster, Imperial College London. There are a lot. In every nook and corner, if you go around central London, you'll find some institute or not. So, first of all, identify the location. Does it match your migration as well? If you are coming from a certain town, and would you be able to fit in a large city like London? So, people do think of either choosing a city institute or taking up a Midlands or a non-hyper metropolitan institute as well. So identify that. Second of all, identify if your course is being offered at your target university or not, because it goes both ways. We can somehow attach your interests to our STEM courses in general, but it has to come from you as well, that you have the right motivation, you have the right skill set, you have the right knowledge to be up with the course curriculum that the particular course is offering. How you can do that? You can just visit our websites. When you see the modules, you'll get an idea of what the modules are teaching. All right, let's say you don't match a certain module at Imperial, but you do match or you do like a module at UCL. So that's where your rationale starts. Okay, I am more proficient in mathematics, so I would go for a certain course at this university. So that's where your rationale should start coming in. um, Research capabilities, yes. How are the research capabilities of the particular institute that you are choosing or taking up? Because all higher education, be it international, be it any country, they emphasize a lot upon research in general. So what kind of research would you want to be taking upon? How intense should it be? Because Imperial is a very research intense institute. There are varying institutes which do not emphasize a lot upon research, but they lot upon taught courses as well. So these are some factors that you should keep in mind, because that's where a lot of processes starts. Your statement of purpose, your academic grades, your criteria for them, all are banking upon your rationale as to how you match the curriculum in general. So these things you can keep in mind.
Wonderful advice for us. I think this will really act as a good starting point for students and parents out here. So, next, I'll move on to helping us understand what Russell Group universities are really like, how or what's unique about them. And of course, you have touched upon the uniqueness of Imperial College London in general. But if you have something more specific to add on to in terms of like being part of Russell Group and being unique within the Russell Group universities itself, that would definitely help our audience out here.
Absolutely. So, I mean, funnily enough, Russell Group came into the name because these first universities met at a hotel called Russell or Russell Square or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
the history. I mean, like someone meeting in Connaught Place, naming it after Quality Restaurant because they met there. So there's no good history behind the naming of it, but yeah, it's very similar to how the Ivy institutes are in the US. It's a very creme de la creme in terms of not just sophistication, but higher research capabilities, higher teaching standards, proficient academics in general. That's what the Russell groups hold in uniqueness. Now, how Imperial is a unique factor, I think so I'll give you 2 points to keep it short, because I go on a yap session as on myself as well, but I'll give you 2 points on that one. So one was that we were the founding members of the Russell Group, and second, on our research capabilities have enhanced and have gotten through within the Russell Group as well. That till now, in the last 5 years, if I'm not wrong, or 4 years, we have published solely with Indian students somewhere around 3,000 research papers. So that's the kind of uniqueness Imperial gets in. You will find professors who are working with NASA on Mars rover project. I know one professor who's doing that currently. So that's the level of uniqueness or excellence, I would say, that the Russell Group universities or Imperial within the Russell Group universities get in.
Thank you so much, Faraz. And I'll tell you one thing from my side for us, whenever I've got an opportunity to interact with a student or an alumni of Imperial College of London, I am blown away by their subject matter knowledge itself, right? And also how they can really present, complex topics in a very, very simple manner. Keeping things simple is actually very, very difficult. So if someone can explain the concept, a complex concept, in a simple manner, it means they have a clear understanding of it. So that's what I have seen from the students of Imperial College of London. So I'm sure the university is doing everything right there to build them in such a way. So
Absolutely.
kudos to the university for that.
Absolutely. That's a good observation. That's a good observation. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so let's move on to the application process bit. I have tried to introduce the application process in a very like straightforward manner. Of course, like devil always lies in the details. But if you could also tell us about the application process for international students, specifically who are applying from India, and if there is anything which is specifically required for Imperial College London itself.
Lovely. So, see, the conversation starts on UCAS. That's the first thing that you need to familiarize yourself with, because all undergraduation applications go through UCAS itself. So your journey starts from UCAS. You have to choose your universities or institutes on UCAS. You have a choice of five. Medicine students, because I've heard that there are a couple of medicine aspirants as well, they need to just keep in mind while you're choosing your universities, you can choose four med schools or four medical options, and one you can choose as a backup, but it has to be somewhat similar to what you are choosing in the first four. All right. So UCAS, that's where your journey starts. You start with the documents that you have, probably the LOR or your accredited grades or your SOP. That's when you start your journey. Next thing that you need to keep in mind, and this is going to be specific to some institutes, not all, but specific to Imperial, UCL, and many more institutes, they have their own entrance tests that they would take. So after you've started your application through UCAS, you need to keep in mind what are the registration deadlines for these entrance tests. They could be the TMUA, it could be the ESAT, it could be the UCAT. There is one other test which UCL takes, it's called TARA. So these are multiple entrance tests that you need to keep in mind. All information, when you go on the website while you're identifying the course, it will specify which entrance test is required for your particular course. So even if you go up right now, search economics, finance, and data science, and Imperial will tell you that you have to take up the TMU. Right? So hypothetically, it's the TMU. So you will know that you have to appear for the TMUA. When you go on the TMUA website, you'll know the deadlines for it as well. I mean, we are more than happy to provide you with the deadlines as well. That's not a problem. But they have registration deadlines. Then they have particular dates on which the tests happen. So you have to keep in mind which sitting you're taking, and you have to prepare accordingly subjectually as well, and then appear for those tests. Then the interviews happen. Then you submit your other documents. If you've not submitted them before, then you have to do that. English language requirement. And then the evaluation of profiles start happening. And then you get a conditional offer based upon these documentation. Mostly towards the end of it, as you correctly mentioned, the final CAS comes in through after you get an unconditional offer once your grade requirements are also met. So that's the application process around specifically to Imperial. Our emphasis is, yes, grades, but you covered a good point for me about the grades, because that's where our conversation starts, that you have to meet the minimum grade requirement for sure. Even if it's for IB students, if it's 41 out of 45, you have to meet 41 out of 45, because without that, you won't be able to get on to the next ones, and they are not interchangeable. So you cannot score less in IB and say I got good grades in TMUA. So can I, like, is there anything around it? No. If you have, like, let's say if you have 39 out of 45 on a 41 out of 45 requirement, they won't entertain the application at all. So focus on your grades. That's where the conversation starts. Rest of it is going to follow after that. So yeah, that's the application process in general.
Great. Thanks so much, Faraz, for re-emphasizing that point, because that's what I've seen in my practice, that sometimes students and families, they get carried away by just focusing on too many activities and not leaving the child to really work on, getting decent good grades as such. So it should not be like that. It has to
At
be
all.
a balancing act, and grades are non-negotiable. So that's
Non-negotiable.
something
Absolutely.
which is very, very important. Okay, so this might be a good segue to talk about, how Imperial admission tutors or admission application evaluators, they really review a student's application, because, of course, admissions have become competitive. Kids are getting good grades, and application pool has also increased. So I would want to understand what are the most important factors which are considered by the admission tutors when they are evaluating applications from students from India, particularly.
Perfect. So that's another interesting part of it, that it's a holistic approach towards the application in general. All right. So once you the major threshold of the process lies on the grades. Once you've crossed the grade threshold, every other factor that I have named right now, from the admission test to the interview to your SOP to your letter of recommendation, your English language requirement, the other five things that are there, they all are weighed on the same scale, but you have to do well in each one of them. So whenever I tell, or whenever I'm talking to students as well, or when I'm talking to parents as well, so I try and explain it to them that see each one of them independently of each other, that you have to do well in each one of them. You cannot because the evaluators do get again, taking the percentage example, 95 out of 95, like 95 over 100 in overall board examinations, let's say subject is also 95 upon 95 in mathematics. Your differentiating factors could be the personal statement, could be the entrance test, could be the interview. So their evaluations will see your individual differences as well. That's why I mean, they would go into academics, they would go into personal statements and references, which are their highlighters for sure. That's why writing a good personal statement is very important. That's why doing your best in your entrance test is very important as well. But just to keep things in mind, academic rigor is something that they are looking for in Imperial particularly. Because if you holistically see everything, even if when we talk about super curriculars, they are academic super curriculars at the end of the day. So your proficiency in academics is something that they want to tap into, and there are other measures around it as well. So yeah, that's how they view the application review process in general.
Thank you so much, Faraz. So my next question is actually about personal statement
Yep.
itself. So as you highlighted, they play an important role in the application process. And from 2026 intake, right? So students who are filling in their applications now, the format has also changed, right?
As
So
yeah.
would want to understand from you if you have any tips or suggestions for students how to approach the personal statement and with the new format as well, if there is anything particularly to be kept in mind, because we understand the essence is the same, it's just that the format has changed. So would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. I mean, see, I have a perspective on it, and I think so. It would be interesting from you as well, because you've seen the old format as well. But I somehow like the new format a little better, because it's more specific to what they're asking. They're not letting students get confused in general. I mean, you can beg to differ completely. You know better on the other side. I'm just giving recommendations. You have to sit down at the end of it and analyze what to be put in it. But it's quite narrowed down now. So the first question emphasizes particularly upon what are your academic like, what is your motivation to study what you're going to be studying, like simply why do you want to study this subject. That's where your motivation comes in. That's where your research about the subject that you're going to be studying comes in. And to be very honest, what do you think you would do after studying this subject? or like you're just study or you're just studying it for, let's say your friend is going into this course. No, that's not going to cut it at all. You have to have the right motivation to aspire to study that subject. Now the second question closely pushes the first one, aligns with it, and asks you to connect what you're studying right now with what you're going to be studying. What transferable skills you're learning, what transferable knowledge parts or knowledge halves you are learning right now, and how do you think it's going to boost or enhance when you take up the undergraduate course. So you have to have a very good understanding of what you are studying right now. It cannot be surface level. You have to dwell deep into your subjects like mathematics or physics, whichever subject you are aiming for, but you need to know your subjects now, and you have to have an idea of how they're going to be connected. Now, the third question pushes the second and the first one again. So the third question simply asks, what have you done apart from your academics? It's a very simple question. What have you done from apart from academics? And that's where your extra and super curriculars come in. They play a very pivotal role in our statement of purpose. We do, I mean, extracurriculars for sure. They teach you a lot about life skills, interpersonal skills, personal development in terms of confidence, in terms of public communication, empathy, a lot of things. But they do require you to have good super curriculars as well. All right. Now, by super curriculars, we generally mean activities that you do pertaining to your academics or your subject, but you do them outside of your classroom. That's a very simple answer to what a super curricular is. So that's why we encourage students indulge in some kind of research work, research projects, research papers, group projects, individual projects pertaining to the subject that you are going to be taking and what you're studying right now, because you have to connect it. It cannot be a project in history and you go for medicine. It will be a very odd bunch out of it. So alignment is something, focus is something, motivation is something that is the underlying understanding of these three questions. And that's what Imperial emphasizes upon, that yeah, do research papers. And very honestly, I completely understand when kids come up and say, students, as you rightly said, students come up and say that we are still in school. It's very difficult to publish papers in general for school kids. That's completely fine. And that's completely acceptable as well. But writing in your school column on a niche down topic is a good example of a super curricular. So you don't have to aim for Observer Research Foundation and your class 11th. But as long as you have motivation and you have narrowed it down to, let's say, I want to do aerodynamics and I want to do like something around it, that's good. That's good enough for us. We just need to see focus and rigor. That's the underlying aspect of it. So yeah, I think so. That's what emphasizes a lot upon creating a standout personal statement, that have a good understanding of yourself, and just remember, quality over quantity any day. So don't mention everything on your SOP. I completely get it. I was that kid in school who was into too many activities. But when someone would ask me, okay, I have to narrow it down, I took some time to understanding like, okay, what are my pluses or how would it help me? So do indulge in activities, but know which ones are going to help you progress further in academics as well. And that you have to mention in your SOP as well. Yeah, sorry.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Faraz. And I would like to re-emphasize one of the important points you mentioned, because again, the goal of these sessions is for the families to hear like straight from the horse's mouth. And these days I see that people are going over the board in terms of activities as such. So a university is not expecting a PhD level research from you. So please understand that. So it has to be a high schooler based research. You cannot, go searching or hunting for like big publications to get that published, right? That's not the expectation. The journey of doing the research itself, I think it helps the child to get clarity in terms of why and what they're truly interested in studying in terms of that subject itself. So that is what you will really get out of it, and not just the publication bit as such. Okay.
Absolutely.
I would want to remind, I saw that some folks joined in maybe a few minutes late after I started the conversation. So you can ask your questions to Faraz directly. Just put it in the chat box or Q&A box, I will just enable your settings as well. You can ask it live or you can put it there. And if you want, I will ask on your behalf. And I recall that I have to take Siddharth's question. So let me first bump up that question and then I'll move to the other one. Okay, so my question was around, SAT, ACT, and APs. So whenever a student is considering, multiple destinations, including US, they do write these tests and, these advanced placements courses as well they take. Uh, and Siddharth asked that I have given SAT exam. Can I submit the score? So in a nutshell, tell us more about what's the policy there. Does Imperial consider if the child is submitting those scores, or it's totally something which is for a lack of a better word, ignored in terms of evaluation process?
No, no, no. I mean, that's a very good question. And thank you, Siddharth, for asking this question. So if you go on the undergraduation page, you will find they don't require SAT results at all. All right. Now, how I'll give you a pro and a con both, because that's what we've heard from the academics or the admission process in general, that until and unless you have exceptional SAT scores, don't mention them on an application, very honestly, because A, it's not a requirement. B, if they are not exceptional SAT scores and if you still mention them on the application, it might create a sense of conflict in the reviewer's eyes that you are actively considering two options. All right, which is completely fine. You can be considering 2, 3, 4, n number of options. But when you're talking about an institute where acceptance rate is 4%, the competition level is so much that they might just have that idea of preferring someone who does not have US or any other country as the destination. But again, coming back to my first statement, if you have exceptional scores, you can always place it as an aptitude thing. You can always place it as a self-testing thing that you did take an aptitude test, and that's completely fine. But since we don't require other than exceptional scores, don't mention them. We have our own entrance tests, mostly for 90 to 95% of our courses. Engineering has it, math has it, physics has it, economics and finance, data science has it, medicine has it. So they are going to be rigorous enough to burn your mind through. But yeah, that's my take on the entrance tests or standardized tests in general.
How about courseworks like advanced placements?
APs are a very interesting pick, I would say. All right, so I would go on record and say like APs are only required when you are not meeting the grade requirement. All right. Other than that, at Imperial, they're not gonna add so much value to it. If you're not meeting a grade requirement or subject requirement very specifically, then APs can play an advantage to it. But other than that, they are not considered an application booster in general. So yeah, that's about APs as well.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Okay, now let's switch gears from moving on from like application bit to now the curriculum as such and kind of comparing it with other destinations as well. So I have two questions. One is what's the difference between undergraduate programs in the UK vis-a-vis like other prominent destinations like US, Australia, and Canada? So that's number one. And number two is how flexible is the curriculum at the UK universities and again, particularly at Imperial? So by flexible, I mean, is there a possibility that students can switch courses or is that not a possibility?
Perfect. That's a good question. The first one specifically because there's geopolitics is ever changing around the world. And very honestly, I feel for students who are applying right now, because it's so much of turmoil going on in each of the destinations that I don't know how you guys do it, but yeah, perfect. So if I compare between US and UK courses, general and specified, they're divided into two in my understanding of it. General courses are 3-year courses. They give you a general undergraduation degree. If I have to take the example of our engineering degree, plain and simple, it's for 3 years. If you do a specialization, So that's where the fun part comes in. You get an integrated master's degree in 4 years of your study, which are known as MEng degrees. So that's one big difference between US and UK curriculums in general. The duration of courses are lesser if I have to compare it with US in general right now. And UK programs from our onset, from our set, we have set combinations for our programs in general. So you have mechanical engineering, you have computer engineering, you have software engineering, but along with the specializations that we are offering, you cannot make it a major and a minor apart from these degrees itself. So if you're going for a very focused, a very narrowed down, a very specialized kind of study, Imperial courses are very much aligned to it, and UK does follow that model in general. So flexibility, I think so. US, I'll be very honest, US is more flexible in terms of the course combinations that you can take up, but UK is more aligned to it. So like if you have an idea of that's something that the rigor is going to get into you with specializations with artificial intelligence and machine learning, and with the industry demands, UK is drastically a better option. Plus, for Indian students, the distance is less, and the cost factors are less as well. Because I've not done a financial analysis on the US fees in general, but judging by the economy, I think so. US costs more. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, the distance is a big factor. Parents do come in and ask like, okay, why do we send it to someone who's for that far away? Like, perfect. That's a good point. Why should you be taking geographically where there are limitations? Because that's a big factor that does come into play about that. Now, coming down to curriculum flexibility, after 1 year, no, you cannot change your stream at Imperial. I'll tell you how. I'll give you a rationale to all of my answers because that's how it should be. That it should make sense as well. So again, our departments are very like stringent, and the acceptance rate is again close to a 3 to 4% within each department. So once they have taken up and enrolled you for a course, they are going to be bound, like they're going to be bound to like follow throughout with that course. Even if you take up a specific computer science and you want to change into computer science with artificial intelligence and machine learning, that's also not possible. So you have to be very sure of what you are taking up, because academic changes are near to none. 0.1%, if you come across someone at Imperial, that would be a 0.1% person who might have been lucky that the department they wanted to go to had a seat empty, and the department they were leaving had students in line for them to be able to replace them. That's what might have happened for them, but I would say don't make your plans based upon 0.1% chances. So yeah, that's about the two questions in general.
Great. Thank you so much for that. And of course, like in terms of countries, it's a very broad discussion to have, right? Sometimes when I discuss it with families, it takes hours, right? Because every country has something unique to offer. And again, as I was mentioning in the start itself, that there is no perfect destination, right? It's more around what are the pros, what are the cons, why this courses and why this kind of structure is aligned to me. And of course, there are always trade-offs to make, but I just wanted our audience to have some understanding of like what really is unique or stand out about UK vis-a-vis other popular destinations. So thank you so much for that. And given you also touched upon the cost and ROI as well, so that's absolutely an important aspect to understand, because of course, like, education is becoming costly year by year, right? And when we take into account the entire cost of attendance, and for the families who are not aware about this term, it's very simple to understand. The cost of attendance is tuition fees plus your living expenses, right? That's the broad set to understand it. So if you are going to UK as a destination and say Imperial College London, you will have to pay X amount of tuition fees. But you are staying there, the student is living there for like almost 2 3 years, 3 to 4 years, right? So then that is also something which will add to the expenses. So every family should consider cost of attendance and not just the tuition fees when they are shortlisting destinations and universities for their kids. Okay, now tell us about Imperial College London, particularly. What's the tuition fees spectrum? What's the average range? And what are the ways for the families to at least bring down that tuition fees aspect of cost of attendance from Imperial College London side?
Perfect. So I'll give you a brief idea of our fee bracket. That starts somewhere around approximately £40,000, goes up till £45,000 per year. All right. It has a slider based upon which course you take up. If you take up engineering, it's going to lie somewhere around 42 to 44. If you take up economics, finance, and data science, that's going to be ending up at 43,900 pounds per year. So that's where the fee bracket lies. For medicine, it's close to £55,000 per year, and it's a 6-year course. So that's where the fee brackets lie in terms of Imperial specifically. All right. Now, how to bring down these costs? So the funny part is, or I mean, the interesting part is that we only have one Imperial bound scholarship for IB students, but apart from that, we don't have any other scholarship for undergraduate students. But the conversation does not stop here. What I always talk to students when we don't have a scholarship from our end, but there are multiple external stakeholders from where you can apply for scholarships and you can get them. So the RISE scholarship, I don't know if it's active this year or not, but the RISE scholarship is one of them. You have state government scholarships, you have national government scholarships, you have the British Council scholarships as well. Some they apply to undergraduate courses. These all scholarships are applicable to at Imperial as well. Apart from that, there is one IB Excellence Award, which is but specifically for IB students in general who have good IB records, and they are limited to certain departments in general. So these are some ways that you can bring down your cost in general, and accommodation as well. So the fee structure that I told you, that was for the tuition fees in general. Now the accommodation is a separate investment, somewhere around 16 to 18,000 pounds per year, and this I'm talking about on campus accommodation. As you rightfully said, first year students do get a preference of staying on campus because obviously they're coming for the first time to a very new country, to a new system. That's where the preference that they get, staying on campus. And if I have to give you a ballpark figure, it's going to be close to 62,000 pounds per year kind of thing that we're looking at, including the tuition fees and the accommodation fees. Scholarships I have mentioned, but something that students also do indulge in our part-time jobs. See, that's not going to bring down your fixed costs. If I go out and say, oh, you can pay your tuition fees by working at, let's say, Subway 20 hours a week, no, that's selling you the wrong idea of it. But yes, there is a good amount of your daily expenses or your weekly expenses that you can take care of. It's not going to bring down the fixed cost, but there is a very big cost after you go there. You can take care of those costs while you're working part-time as well. So these are some just methods around bringing down the costs in general. I have to, give you an idea of the same, that institutes based out of London are going to cost any day more than institutes which are not based out of London in general. London is a very costly city, and I was bewildered by when I was visiting Imperial. I was bewildered by the cost that food, transportation, everything incurs. God bless Uber in India. God bless Uber in the UK at all. The costs are a crime. But these are some factors that you should also keep in mind while you're selecting your institute. There is no problem in taking up a university which matches your finances as well. That's always a good thing to keep in mind. So yeah, that's a bit about that one.
Great. And as you already touched upon, like working while studying, can you also just mention what are the regulations around it? How many hours a week? I think that would maybe just for informational purpose.
Absolutely. So it's 18 to 20 hours a week, specifically for undergraduate students, and you get paid by the minimum wage, which is 11.94 pounds, which I last checked. That's the base price that you will be paid by the hour for sure, whichever part-time job that you take up, even if it's a resident, I mean, teachers assistants, or if it's anything outside of the institute as well, because you're not, I mean, it's no, there's no guarantee that you get on campus, but if you do it outside as well, you will be paid for your there are no unpaid internships at all, or there are no unpaid part-time jobs at all. So yeah, that's the flexibility that's there. Your teachers, your institute does understand that you are going to be indulging in part-time work for sure. That's not something that they are against or you would be advised against it. It's just something that you have to see how you're going to manage the hours, the pressure.
Yeah.
That's something that you'll have to see if you can work on weekends or if you can work on shifts. That's something that you get a better understanding once your timetable is with you in front of you. So that's how you can go on, because very honestly, people do indulge in part-time jobs, but it's not everybody's cup of tea to keep up with it, with the amount of rigor in terms of academics that there is.
Yes. Yeah,
So
rightly said. Because I have heard from my students there that because the coursework is rigorous. I'm not just particularly talking about Imperial, it's also about, like, say, UCL or King's College as well, that it doesn't leave them lot of time to really work. And sometimes if they do, they are sleep deprived as well, because the coursework is really, really rigorous. So yeah, thanks for bringing that point for us. That's really helpful.
no,
Okay,
that's
I know we are at
oh
12:31,
yeah,
but is it okay if we continue with few more questions for us? Is that okay
absolutely,
with you?
absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I hope from the audience as well. And let me take one long pending question from Sangeeta. Uh, okay. Yeah, Sangeeta, do you want to go live with this question, or should I go ahead and ask? Okay, okay. Let me ask. So her question is that is IB or Cambridge board student preferred over national board during the process?
No, no, nothing of a preference in general. Evaluations, marks, all are viewed differently and evaluated differently. So we have no capping, we have no preferences according to the board that is coming through. So no, a short answer, no.
Great. Okay, so let me move on to my next question, which is around the post-study work opportunities in UK, and what support does the university provide? What kind of career services are there? And what's the opportunities for the students in UK once they complete their undergrad?
So PSW right now in its existence, it's for 2 years. You get 2 years to stay back and work. I know there is a lot of chatter around it. We'll come down to that probably. I mean, I can take that after this question as well, because there is a lot of chatter. But yeah, so you get to stay back for 2 years. And at Imperial, our undergraduation employment rates stand at very comfortably around 90%. That's arguably one of the highest undergraduation placement records at the moment. And we are also, I mean, if we're not top three, top five, employers' destination as well. So they find our courses, our students to be very relevant to what the industry demands. And that's one aspect or stats around employment. Now, we have a dedicated career support team. I always start this segment with by saying that forget how placements happen here in India. Don't carry that idea out there. The system is very different. There's no, I mean, they just follow a very different system. It's more of career support than guaranteed placements of 100% placement and all those billboards that we see out when we go about. But this career support team gets you in touch with industry networks, gets you in touch with the alumni network, gets you in touch with people who are already absorbed in the industry. You have teacher mentors, you have student mentors, you have career dedicated mentors who are going to help you build your profile, to tell you when the career workshops or job fairs or job workshops are going to be taking place, so you attend them. You meet with industry people through those channels, planning your internships, planning your, as simple as curating your CV for the UK job market. That's the kind of support that Imperial does. So my advice to you going out Imperial or any of the UK colleges, that just start early. Don't start at the nick of time. If you know that you have to be employed by the end of June or May, let's say, you have to start planning for it maybe in December or November, as early as that. So that's one thing that you need to carry along with yourself, be it any university you're going down to.
Okay. Farad, while you were speaking, I got an interesting follow-up from Sangeeta to your answer around like whether international boards are preferred over national board. So she has asked why scholarship only for IB students?
I think so. The international recognized curriculum, that's why it's for them, but that doesn't mean that it's going to come down to application selection. Again, Sangeeta, that's a very smart observation and good question on that half. But there is no admission preference again. All right, I'm going to go out and say there is no admission preference as such. Scholarship is because of the globally recognized board. That's one common link in multiple countries that there is. So probably that's why the scholarship is there. But trust me, my heart hurts more when I say there are no scholarships from our end for other students, because I know it's a very cost induced investment. So yeah, I completely get that. But good question. Thank you.
But maybe like we as counselor and consultants community, we should try to push that from our end, because I think as we have spoken about cost of attendance, any scholarship or any kind of financial aid definitely make things reachable as well for the
Absolutely.
right students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Okay, so I'll get on to my last question and then we will kind of close. So, just if you can share your advice for students who are putting in their applications primarily this year, and of course, it's natural to feel overwhelmed, but what they can do better, if there is anything which they should keep in mind, some kind of common mistakes or anything which may help them calm down in terms of this process. Few words
Absolutely.
of it.
Absolutely lovely. First things first, see it as a marathon, not a sprint. Never see it as a sprint, because if you are going to be sprinting, you're probably going to be getting a hamstring injury or something like that. So don't. It's a spaced out process. Your UCAS starts at a certain point of time. Your entrance tests happen at a certain point of time. Then you have time to put in your documents, plan things ahead. So even if one day you're not working on your application, that's completely fine. Take that one day, relax, but make a promise to yourself that the next plan that you've made according to yourself, that you're going to be working on your SOP, or you're going to be taking a review or your SOP on that particular day, do follow up with the plan that you're carrying out. Taking breaks is completely fine. Mistakes that you should avoid, that I would say should be: don't miss deadlines. See, that's when the whole uh, Jenga starts toppling, that when you start missing deadlines, it just becomes very difficult for you and for the counselor, for the parents to match the deadlines in general. And then the university also gets a little irky in the way that they don't give much lapses on that. That. And second thing I just mention here is that emphasize good individuality on your personal state. All right, just make sure that you write very organically, as so we've used the word organically as you were talking about. That's what we are looking for: natural and organic in terms of your academics as well as your other stuff, in your SOP, in your super curriculars as well. So yeah, take your time. It's a long process. You have the help that you want. You have Surbi as well. If you want to reach out to the university, you can feel free to reach out to the university as well. We can guide you around things that there are. But take all the help that you can. Slow down, relax, enjoy the bits of things that are there around you as well. And then take up upon your application process, space it out. That's all. That's my, yeah, that's my piece of advice for them.
Thank you so much. And yes, I can vouch for it. UK universities and yes, Imperial as well. They are very, very approachable, right? So students should not hesitate to ask the question. Sometimes they feel like, oh, how would I sound if I'm asking this question? Don't ever get into that thought process. It's good to get clarifications, then, doing things with doubt. Okay, so as I said, they are very, very approachable. Definitely take advantage of that. And I know we overshooted by almost 10 minutes, but thank you so much for us for, all the insights, all the inputs which you provided. I'm sure it would have helped the audience. And, when we talk to families, we touch upon these things, and definitely they appreciate it and they understand it. But when it comes from the university, it's more like straight from the horse's mouth, and it helps re-register this point or several points. And as well as kind of sometimes there are so many doubts which gets clarified through such sessions. So that's why we started with something like an admissions insights, wherein of course we are honored to have people like you who give your time and energy to give the right answers. So thank you once again for coming over.
I mean, just I'll take a minute and say thank you for having me. These sessions are more and much better that we get to answer or deliver the knowledge that we have, and actually become the bridge between the institute and people on ground. So thank you for that, and thank you for having me. Plus, thank you for coordinating with me all this while. I know I've been late with my replies, but thank you for all the hard work that you put in. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Pleasure is mine. And thank you so much for all the attendees here. So everyone's, stayed around, and I'm sure they were benefiting from all the responses. And we will continue with hosting such admission insights session. And we also host career awareness sessions as well, wherein we invite industry experts to talk about different careers to our students. And again, the goal there is also to hear straight from the horse's mouth what that particular career track is about. So if you wish, you can subscribe to our social media handles, and you will get all the information around upcoming events from that. With that, let me close the webinar for today. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye bye.